Hello, YouTube. I am back. First, I just want to say my last video was like 9 months ago. And it was really like my first video that I had planned. And I had a bunch of other ideas. And then I don't know what happened, but I stopped making videos. It was I think the last video was like January 29th, so it was like right at the end of January. My guess is I started focusing on trying to graduate. Sorry if there's a weird glare. I can't fix that. But yeah, I started focusing more on trying to graduate. All I needed was an internship. My biggest video, which accidentally got more views than I expected, was about not graduating college after like 6.5 years. And yeah, I think that video just got more views because of the title, probably. It was just not clickbaity, because the video was exactly what it was about, but just catchy. It was a hook, I guess. I don't know. But anyways, I stopped making videos, and I wish I didn't, because I really enjoyed it, although I only made like 3 or 4. But yeah, just to go back over that, this will be like a new introductions video, kind of. Without explaining too much, I don't have anyone to talk to in my life besides like therapy now. And I wanted to have an outlet where I could feel like I'm having a conversation, and feel like I'm having a conversation about something that I want to have, which a lot of times when I'm talking to other people, I'm too anxious, so I don't really bring up anything that I would want to bring up. So the conversation is usually steered by the topics that they go with, and I can bounce off that, but I never really take it in the direction that I want to. So that was another thing that I could do here that I was interested in. Oh, the glare is just really bothering me. Whatever. Sorry I don't know if you can hear the radio, but I turned it up a little bit just so I had some background thing. Random tangent, doesn't matter. Yeah, I just needed to have an outlet, or I wanted to have an outlet where I could talk about things that I wanted to talk about and feel like I'm having a conversation, and I kind of am if people comment, but I also am just kind of talking to myself. And yeah, I think I'm going to get back into it. And my plan, I don't know what the topics will be. I really don't know. But my plan is maybe to do this like every Monday. Because one thing, that'll give me something to look forward to on Mondays. Because Mondays kind of suck. Tuesday's alright because it's close to Wednesday. And Wednesday's good for a few reasons. And then Thursday's good because it's close to Friday. And Friday's good because I have therapy. So it'll make my week a little better. And then the weekend is just, it's the weekend. But yeah, I'm 26 now. My name is Ethan. Just to get the introductions out of the way, I have 2 cats. They don't get along. Astro and Luna. I have to keep them separate. I still keep them separate. I don't remember the last time that I tried to make them coexist. I got a book about cat behavior, and I'm kind of trying to learn that and learn a path to get them to be friends. But I haven't done anything yet besides read the book. But I have two cats. One, Luna's very young. She's like 3.5 maybe right now. And Astro is like almost 7, I guess, or 6. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. And I don't want to waste your time too much with that. So I'm trying to not have a lot of dead space, but it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. But yeah, for this video, I had 2 ideas, and I'm gonna try to make it only like an hour-long video, so it might be hard to fit both of these things into it. The first one, I just wanted to give a little update since my last video of like what has happened in my life. And then I wanted to try, this is gonna be very hard, but I want to try to just explain my whole life as I picture it right now, or things that I remember. Small, in small bits, not as deep as I could go. Just to give a wide range of things and potential topics. If someone watches this video, they can, if they hear something and it's interesting to them, I can make a video about that. Or whatever. But yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that in the space of an hour, but that is my goal, because I don't want to waste too much time on this. And I don't want to make the video too long. But I've been reading lately, and I want to have enough time to read today, because I didn't get a lot of time yesterday. I was busy cleaning and reworking my apartment, so I can kind of give a little tour of the living room. You probably noticed there's a lot more from my last video. There was like nothing on the wall. That's not true. There was stuff on this side. I got my bulletin board, my computer, and yeah, sorry if this is weird. It's like inverted, so I don't, it's hard to show. I'm gonna try to splice this together, but I accidentally just paused the video, or like ended the video. But this stuff was already there. These like music posters, like the Beatles and David Bowie, and then that Beetlejuice. And that, the bird posters that I got from a friend that I don't talk to anymore. But this whole side is new. And so yesterday I took, or new to you, I got this on my door. You know, all these pictures and stuff. More pictures. Can't zoom. And then posters. Another poster. Oh, this is weird. And then I got this map poster a while ago, because I was planning on moving. But that's kind of unrealistic. But then I had this, oh my god. I had this table. This little like miniature card table. And it was like right here where the printer, filing cabinet stuff is, with a TV on it, but both my TVs broke. So I threw those away yesterday. I threw away some other cluttery stuff. And I got this filing cabinet like a month or 2 ago, I don't remember, at Goodwill. It was over kind of close to that litter box. But I moved it there. And then yesterday I got these cheap bookcase things from Walmart, and I built them and then cleaned my apartment. So that took all day. And Whereas I was planning on reading like all weekend because that's kind of just what I do right now. I only got to read for like an hour yesterday, so that kind of sucked. It's gonna be really hard to fit all this stuff into the video like that. I don't know if I can do it. Okay. I'm gonna try to be quick. We'll see. So, the last video I made about my life, I think, was really just about not graduating college. And also, I was talking about how I was getting back to work I had like almost a month off for Christmas because I worked for my college, the college that I went to. I worked in a dining court. And kind of hated it. Definitely hated it. For a lot of reasons. It reminded me of my failures in graduating. And then also, I had gotten that job right before me and my ex broke up, which is like a big thing I'm still trying to get over. Kind of. I don't know. Anyways, I got that job because she also worked as a custodian at the college. And she wanted me to be closer to where she worked. Because before that, I worked at Meijer in the deli, and that was awful. That was just, I'm not meant for grocery stores, although I'm kind of considering it if I could like financially do something like that, I might be interested in it just for the social aspect. But so many people are rude. So it's just kind of hard to do a job like that. You get like some nice people, mainly your coworkers, hopefully. The glare. And so I stopped working at Meijer and after I lined up this dining court job, and then like 2 months later broke up with my ex. So it was a stressful job on its own, just because the dining courts are really busy and understaffed. I made more money there than I did at Meijer, but still not enough, especially because after breaking up, I had to move out on my own into this apartment, which is really expensive for me. And so it was stressful for financial and just job reasons. But it also reminded me of college and not graduating, and it reminded me of my ex a lot and just like being close to that situation. So I really wanted to get away. And but I also wanted to graduate. So this is where I think in February, right when I stopped making videos, I started focusing on how can I graduate? Can I do an internship with my job, like at the current place that I'm in? Because they did internships, but it was like food-related culinary stuff. Had nothing to do with my unmanned aerial system drone degree. And sorry, I'm trying to go fast. I'm trying to go fast so I can get to this other thing, but that just might be a big shot to get all that. Oh, okay. So I was trying to figure out how I could graduate, if I could do an internship either at the place I worked or somewhere else. I started applying to like UAS drone internships. Or I applied to one, at least. They didn't get back to me, like ever, and I didn't really try to reach out besides putting in an application. So that's kind of my fault, I guess, I don't know. But they didn't get back to me, and then I approached my boss at the dining court about doing an internship there, and then I don't know if they like misunderstood what I was saying, but the way, I don't remember what their answer was, but the way they interpreted it was like, because I was asking to do a summer internship with them through the program that they already do. But they, I don't know. I really don't know what happened, but they were like, okay, we can just treat this as an internship, right? And so I got this like light bulb moment. I was like, oh, okay. This is what it was. I said I needed a certain amount of hours for it to be a valid internship, professional experience type thing. And they were like, oh, yeah, well, you've already worked that plenty, because it had been like a year at that point since I started, from like February 24 to February 2025. So I got that light bulb moment. I was like, oh, okay. I could just treat what I just did for the past year as an internship / professional experience and just fill it out that way. Sorry. Thought I had to burp. Okay, just taking a little break. Man, and I'm not gonna edit this out because that's like my thing, I guess, is I like not editing and I'm lazy. Besides adding the first part of the video that I accidentally cut off. But yeah, I got that light bulb moment and I was like, okay. So I was just like, I'm just gonna try it. I'm not even gonna ask the college if this is a valid thing. I'm just gonna I'm gonna fill out the internship form. I got my manager to fill out the evaluation form. And then I had to write this big essay. And so I just did all of that and then submitted it. And I was like, this is it. If it goes, then cool, I'm graduating. If it doesn't, then I'm just giving up. It's over. Because I just don't really have time to get an internship. It worked out. I'll just say that. It worked out. It took a while from like March. So they accepted the internship, and then it took them a while to verify. They had to like go through my whole, because it had been like over 2 years since I was actually a student enrolled in classes. It took them a while. They had to, I don't even know if I was prioritized, honestly. It didn't feel like it at first. But they had to go through my whole courses and make sure that everything was valid and that I did earn the degree. So they did all that, and then I couldn't graduate by the end of spring because it was just like too close to the deadline, and I didn't apply anyways. And then it was still taking forever. They weren't getting back to me. It got close, like a week within the deadline to apply to graduate for summer. And similar to the internship paper thing, I was like, I'm just gonna apply. They're taking their time, but everything on my end is done. So, man, I'm really just like taking way too long on all these topics because I got a lot of shit to get through. So I applied, and then still was taking forever, but eventually they got it all through, and I graduated and got my degree. I graduated in August, and then got my degree in like September because I got it through the mail. I didn't go to the ceremony or anything because I didn't know anyone that was graduating. It had been like a while since I was a student, so I didn't see the point. But yeah, so I graduated, got the diploma, got it framed right there. So that's cool. But I'm not going to be able to get a job with it. Or at least I don't think so. I'm not really trying. Basically every UAS job that I could find, which really most of them are military anyways, and I don't, no hate, but I just don't think I could stomach that. I couldn't have like a clear conscience of using a drone for like warfare reasons. Especially when in college I mostly used it for like agriculture and just like cartography reasons. Um, but all of the applications require a certain amount of flight hours. I would probably have less than like 100 in all of my years of being a UAS student. I really didn't fly that much. I did more of like the software end of things, like taking the data and making a map with it in a GIS software. Yeah. And I also don't have a drone. So there's no way for me to get the flight hours that I would need. So it's just like a really big long shot. And I don't know why anyone would take a risk on me when there's probably applications for people who actually do have the flight hours, who have the experience, who have maybe actually worked in the industry already. So it's just not realistic, and that's whatever. But I got the degree, so I don't have to worry about it. It's not like baggage anymore, which was that's kind of how it felt when I made that video. Yeah, I don't know. It just felt like it was pulling me down. But the thing is, I think there's a lot mentally going on for me where there's always something that's pulling me down. So even if I clear my plate of all the things, I could list off, you could go back a year or a year and a half, and I could list off all the things in my life that are pulling me down, that are just, I wish I could solve them so they're not weighing on me anymore, right? And say I clear that, there's just going to be more stuff that comes in, or things that are already going on in my life, and that I'm going to balloon those out and make it like those are dragging me down. That's kind of how it is like trying to solve all these problems and do these, like, similar to moving, I guess. I really want to move. I think I talked about that in my earlier videos, maybe. And I had plans to maybe try to move next year. That's not happening. I've given up on that. And I was supposed to start saving at like August, and I haven't saved anything. But anyways, say I move, it's just going to create a bunch of new problems for me, because I plan on moving like to the middle of nowhere or somewhere I've never been. Like I was thinking Colorado, or that's why I got that map back there. So I could like do my research and then put pinpoints of where all the places I wanted to go. But I wanted to be at least 500 or 1,000 miles away from Indiana. That was my plan. And that's a big move, and I don't really have the resources or the money. But it would give me this like fresh start kind of idea. And so that's the kind of fantasy of it, I guess. I guess what I'm trying to say is like all these goals I have are just really like, I hold them up like they're gonna save my life or fix me, or like fix my, what's the word, my wasted time. Like it's gonna revive my desire to enjoy. That's a weird way to say it. Hold on. Like it's going to bring joy in my life, and that it's gonna make me happy again. I guess that's a good way to say it. Because I really don't enjoy my current situation. I hate it in a lot of ways. Today, this week, or like I guess today and yesterday, I've been feeling pretty good. And I'll maybe get into that if I have time. Don't waste it all. Hopefully. But I don't even know what I just said. Oh, yeah. Solving these problems will not bring joy to my life. Getting the degree didn't, because it's like now it's just, oh, there's a piece of paper on my wall, whatever. I'm not doing anything with it, and it's expensive, and I'm paying a lot in student loans for that piece of paper. That's not getting me a job anywhere. And I don't know, even if it did, I probably wouldn't like that job. Or maybe I would for a little bit, but it's like I find ways to not like it anyways. Basically, none of these things are the things I want. The one thing that I do want, which is, I'm gonna be honest, it's just to be in a relationship, in a loving relationship with someone. That's the ultimate thing I want that would make me happy. I can't control that. I can't just conjure that up, and no matter how much work I do, no matter how much I try, I can't just make that happen. I can't will someone to like me and want to live with me and I don't know, be best friends. And do every day together. That's the whole goal. Is someone to go through this life with. That's what would make it worth it for me. And I can't just have that. So all of these other things, these solutions I have, they're pointless. But I'm still trying them anyways, because why not, you know? I have new ones that I'll maybe get to. By the time I get to that, I'm gonna forget that I even said this stuff. So, yeah. But anyways, to make a long story short, I did graduate. That happened, yeah. And I got my diploma. And also around the same time that I found out I was going to be able to graduate, the dining court job, just to explain that a little bit, I don't know if I said it last year. It was great that I got like long breaks off, so to speak, at least like the winter one. That's an awesome break, like 2 weeks, I think, of paid time off, not vacation, it's just paid time off. Paid leave, that's what it's called. Completely free for whatever. That's awesome. But what was not awesome about it, besides the stress and the other things I mentioned, was the schedule was very chaotic. Sometimes I would work, it would be like my weekend was at the front of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, and then my next weekend was at the end of the week on the next week. So it would be like 2 weeks smashed together. I also never had complete weekends off. It was always like a Sunday, Monday, or a Friday, Saturday kind of thing. Or split weekends. They did that a lot too. So I really didn't like that. It was night shift, which I didn't have an issue with because up to that point, I had only worked night shift jobs, so I was very comfortable with that. But maybe I'll make a video about this at some point. Night shift is depressing, and the world is not geared towards night shift or third shift. What I mean by night shift is like noon, 1, 2, like those starting around that time, maybe 3 or 4 p.m., but you're not getting off until like 9, 10, 11, midnight. You know what I mean? And everything's closed, or a lot of things are, especially after COVID. There's no 24-hour stores. I think there's a 24-hour CVS kind of thing, and then McDonald's, but that's about it. So your life, it's like you have to do everything before work if you want to do something on a day that you work. And that really didn't work for me. And I don't know, it's really hard to find the motivation, like to wake up, go to the grocery store, for example, on a day that you have to work, and then come back and then go to work. You know what I mean? If I'm going to do that, I'd like to do that after I've already done the 8-hour shift of crap that I would have to do for the day, the obligation so I can get money. So that was annoying, but the biggest thing that really messed me up and I did not like about working in the dining courts was whenever we were closed, they would force night shift to do first shift hours and just sandwich everyone together that worked in the dining court so we could do either cleaning weeks or in the summer it goes from like a handful, like 4 or 5 or 6, I don't know, dining courts open to only 1 or 2 open. So not everyone can work in the dining courts. And even if you do, you don't get the guaranteed hours and schedule that you would have wanted if it's not your dining court that's staying open. So your other option because they'll provide you work. They're not just going to send you away. The other option is to do custodial work, basically cleaning, what is it? Dorms. Cleaning like dorms around the campus. But that is only first shift. So, and I'm talking like waking up at 7 in the morning. So you're going from a job, for me, what it was going from a job where I started at 2 p.m. to that same job for a cleaning week or whatever. And sometimes it would be the next day, waking up to be at work at 7 a.m. And that's a big jump, and that's terrible to force on people. And every time it happened, which it happened a lot, from the moment I first got that job, I think when I first got it, it was like something like 40%. I got a night shift job, right? And when I talked to the interviewer, that was one of the biggest deals for me, was that it was a night shift job and I was going to be working night shift hours. Because like I said, I was still with my ex and she worked night shift. And we were trying to have merged same schedules so we would have time together, right? Within the first like 16 weeks of me having that job, I think 40%, I did the math, it was something like that, 40% of the time I had worked up until that point was first shift. So I was like, how is this a night shift job? It's seasonal. That's what I considered it. So every time it happened that I had to go on first shift, it just wore on me more and more and more and more. So I really wanted to get a new job for multiple reasons. Everything I do in life, it seems like I have like 1,000 reasons for. It's never just one-dimensional, okay? I don't know if that's normal. Probably. I'm trying to fix the glare. That's why I'm like looking down. You know? Or I could just take my glasses off, but I don't know. Maybe I'll do that. You know? Where was I? Somewhere. I don't know. Wasting time. Yeah, that's where it was. Nothing that I do, if I have like a big thing I'm gonna change in my life, it's never one-dimensional, it's never simple. It's complicated. I think that's gonna be the title of this video, is I'm back, it's complicated. Or like life is complicated, I don't know. That's stupid. But that's what I've been thinking. So I had like a bunch of different reasons for why I wanted a new job. But ultimately I just really didn't like the job. Which sucked because that job and the Meyer job were the first 2 jobs that I had that were like full-time, and I hated both of them. Absolutely despised them, and I was like, this is not sustainable for me, I can't do this forever. Side note, there's no way I'm going to be able to get to the other thing that I wanted to talk about in this video. That's just going to take way too long. I mean, maybe, but I'm already like halfway through, or over halfway through the video, as far as I want it to be, because I only want it to be an hour. And I'm really trying to speed talk, but I just don't think I can make it happen. So maybe another time, maybe next week. We'll see. But anyways, really, yeah. And that sucks, to have these experiences where it's just like every job I get is not sustainable. The last time I liked a job was when I was working part-time honestly. Like the job I was working before Meyer, I worked at a vintage clothing store slash smoke shop, and the pay was terrible. I think I earned like $9 an hour at the time. They pay more now, of course, because everyone quit. That's another story. Uh, but I liked the job. I liked being there. Really, because I could just do whatever. I could be on my phone the whole time, or I would bring my like. I have like a Nintendo Switch. I don't really play it now, but at the time I did play it a lot. I would just bring that and just play video games all day, pretty much, and get paid for it. And you're gonna be like, of course you like that, right? But it's not just that. But I would like just play on my Switch all day. Customers would come in. If they needed to check out, I would, do that. Put it down for that. But at first, I did start putting it down or I would put down the Switch or my phone or whatever I was doing when customers came in. But after a while, I was like, I just don't care. And so I would just like wait until they wanted to check out, and then I would do that. But the reason I left that job was because I was really not making a lot of money. I think the last check I got from there was like $30 because I was getting my hours cut. Everyone was. It wasn't just me. I was considered a good worker there. I'll just say that. It wasn't like they were cutting my hours because I was messing around on my phone all day. I did my fair share of work, supposedly. And didn't have an issue with any type of work that I would have to do. But regardless, I was getting my hours cut. I got like a $30 check, and I was like, I can't take this anymore. And also, I was doing Uber Eats and Grubhub delivery work, which I still kind of do sometimes, but not really right now, and I don't want to destroy my car. But yeah, that's whatever. And I was making more money with the Uber Eats and Grubhub stuff. So one day I just was like, I'm going to quit tonight. I did my shift, closed the store, and then I texted the boss this kind of long paragraph, but not too long. Didn't even want to get into it that much. And I was just like, hey, this is my last shift. I'm quitting. That's that. Whatever. So I liked that job. And then I also worked at a pizza place before then. I also worked at an airport, but I didn't like that job because it was too freeing. But I don't want to waste time with all this. I'm going backwards, and I need to be going forwards. The pizza place job, though, I really liked. I worked it while I was a student in college, and I would work like 30 hours a week, so almost full time, but not. And I don't know. I just liked the dynamic I had. It was a good like social thing for me because everyone was kind of friends. I met a lot of people there. I got the job from a friend, from one of my college friends that I met because they lived in the apartment below me. I lived in like a house my freshman year that was divided into a bunch of apartments. So I got the job from them, and then I kind of had like a lot of friends there. Of course, I don't have any of them now, but whatever. I gotta go to the bathroom, but I'm probably not gonna do that. I don't know. What's this pause feature? Maybe I'll try that. Hold on. So you can pause recordings, I guess. I didn't know that was a thing. So that's cool. Anyways. Yeah, I liked working part-time, and I really wish I could do that still, but it's financially just impossible, and also you don't get benefits if you work part-time, or you have to pay for your own. Kind of. I don't know how all that works. I know that if you're full-time, you actually do get benefits in most places. So part-time just doesn't work for me right now, but I do have this dream of one day, if I get this far in life, I don't know. That's a whole other thing. Maybe like when I'm old enough to retire, I'll just get like a part-time pizza job and just be some old man that is working at the pizza place and meeting the people that come in, you know? Because I don't know, that just sounds so nice. And it really would, I would do it now if I could afford to do that, but I can't. Uh, but once again, tangented way too far off topic. I didn't like the job I was working at Meyer, so I got a new job. Didn't like the dining court, and the summer was coming up, so our dining court closed because it always closes because it was like a small one of the smaller dining courts that I worked at. And I had the option to either go to a dining court or just go full like custodian whatever. And I chose like both. I chose to do a month of the custodian work and then go to a dining court. And so that started. I got on first shift, got adjusted to it, but I was still just like, I don't want to do this. And also I had this plan in the back of my head from the final day of the semester, the last spring semester. The final day I worked in the dining court, I was like, this is my last day in the dining court. I will not go back. And I was telling, like, I had like a friend there, kind of. I don't really talk to him anymore either, sadly. Yeah. I was telling him, though, I would rather be homeless and like evicted from my house because I can't pay my bill than work in the dining court again. Like, that's how bad it gets for me and how extreme that feeling is. And that's another brain thing that I'll hopefully get to soon. I'm getting there, all right? I'm getting there. So I needed a new job, and I needed one that paid more. And also, I was on first shift, and I was starting to like those hours. So I was like, okay, maybe I can find like a first shift job. But that wasn't a big deal. Started looking around for anything that was hiring near me that paid more. And I found this factory that, one, paid more. Two, it had first shift and second shift opportunities, so I could have done either. Which I thought first shift would have been a long shot, but it ended up not being. And it was also 30 minutes. Sorry, there's a hair or a fuzz or something flying around. It was also 30 minutes outside of the town that I live in. So it would have, at least while I'm at work, it's like I couldn't be further from the college that I went to and my ex, right? So I was like, this is gonna solve a lot of my problems, right? So I applied to it. They got back to me really quick, and I got that job. Like I said, it's a factory job. I'm gonna be honest. I already hate it. That's a whole other thing. But I liked it for a little bit. And I there's things I like about it, and the checks or the pay is definitely really nice. I haven't been able to save, but that's because I'm trying to fix my credit and get my loans all figured out and do that stuff. And I also have like, all my bills are expensive. Yeah, it was like, really, it's the student loan thing that's kind of killing me. But I make enough money that I'm pretty comfortable and can afford things, right? But if I didn't have student loans, I pay like $620 a month in student loans. And if I didn't have to pay those, if I didn't have that, which I could have gotten this job or any of these factory jobs like right out of high school and made this amount of money, you know what I mean, without the student loans. $600 more a month, I don't even know what I would do with myself. I'd be buying stuff all the time because I have a really bad habit of once I get like extra money, it's hard for me to keep it because I'm like, all right, I just got to get rid of this money. I just got to get rid of it. But anyways, another tangent. Sorry. I got the new job at the factory. Just to be blunt about it, I work at a slaughterhouse. I don't know if they would call it that. I guess the better term is a meat packing place. Let me look at this. Is meat packing a slaughterhouse? Yes, slaughtering is a key component of meat packing. So yeah, I work at a slaughterhouse, but I work on the packing side, the cold side. Some of the good things. It's I think in a lot of ways it's been very good for me, but it's not sustainable. I guess that's my thing. Is I would go crazy if I thought I was gonna stay in this job forever. And be very depressed, which I was and still kind of am, but I'll get to that. So I liked it for like the first. At first, I really liked it. The things that are good for me about it are it's a Monday through Friday thing, but we get a lot of overtime, like, and sometimes we work Saturday and Sunday, so that's just like a 7 day work week. We just did that actually the last like 2 weeks ago, and then we worked the next Saturday, so I worked 13 days in a row, which is the most. It beat my record of 12 days in a row from my first job. But my first job, I only worked 2 hours a day versus working like 8.5, 9 hours a day at the factory. So that's my new record, is 13 days in a row. If we worked a second Sunday, then it would have been like 19 days in a row. But I make much better money. That's one of the good things. It's a Monday through Friday thing. The schedule is like I clock in at 6 in the morning, and I usually get out around 3. I'm usually in my car around 3, going home. It's 30 minutes outside of my town, so that's like an hour commute total a day. That's not terrible. Yeah, it's not terrible. But I think being on first shift is good for me. I think the Monday through Friday schedule is good for me because I have the chance of having a full weekend off. If I have both days off, then I have the weekend days as my weekend, and that's nice. And the first shift is good for me because that's just like I said earlier about night shift. I really think it's just like bad for people, and it's much better to wake up and have more daylight hours, right? Oh wow, I'm already getting close to the time. I got like, if I do 20 more minutes, then I'll be 5 minutes over, and I haven't even gotten caught up from the last video I made. This is why I wish I'd never stopped making videos, but it is what it is. And it's also a highly physical job. It's exercise to me because the area I work in, I refuse to do. There's like these knives that you can use to cut meat. I refuse to do that job because it's like really bad for your arms. And what my opinion is, whatever damage that's gonna do to my wrist and my full arm by basically handling what the equivalent, in my opinion. Sorry, I'm just making fun of myself because I said that way too much there. I think the damage that this knife, which I consider like a mini jackhammer because of the vibration of it, the damage of handling that 3 hours a day, 6 hours, 8 hours, whatever, and the cost it would take to repair that. One, you can't really repair that, and you can't get like, you can maybe fix your wrist and stuff, but you can't, like, you know what I mean? You can't, like, get back the damage, and it'll never be the same. And no amount of money would make me want to do something that would harm my body that much. So I just work in the back, like the very end of the conveyor belt line, packing. I weigh the product sometimes. That's my favorite spot, is the scale, because it's really easy and kind of away from people, and you can just kind of screw off and go on autopilot and just do it. I either do that or actual, like, packing, taking the product and putting it in boxes and sending it through to the last step, which is the strapper, just strapping the boxes. The strapper is also really easy, but it's kind of cold over there and you're not moving a lot, so a lot of times my feet freeze or my toes are, like, literally frozen numb. So I don't love that about it, but anyways, that whole back area I like, except for packing. I'm not really good at it, and usually they have 2 people packing, but we've not had a lot of people. We're like short-staffed or something, I don't know. So they're having people do the packing job as 1 person instead of 2. So you're kind of doing like 2 jobs at once, but not really. It's just more work. What's the point of this, all these tangents, you know? But I don't know. In a lot of ways, it's good for me. What what worked out for it was it got me on a good, like, regular schedule. My shift never changes. They never make me work night shift. That's for damn sure. So I never have to wake up at a different time. So I have a very set, like, sleep schedule that works out, and it's morning based. So it works better with the rest of the world, and I get sunlight, so I'm, like, happy with that, or happier, supposedly. The money's really good. I don't know if I said that, but it's given me the ability to fully pay all of my student loans and all my bills. And still potentially save. I could, if I was really trying to, I could really still save, but I'm bad at that. But yeah, I don't know. It's not a terrible job, but I hate it, and I hate factory work, and I have really bad, like, carpal tunnel now, and it messes up my sleep because, like, my arms will be in, like, severe pain when I'm trying to sleep, and so I wake up a bunch. But that's whatever. And the benefits are good, so that's good. So I'm making more money. I'm staying active with it. It's like a workout, and that's kind of how I felt about it when I first got the job. I've actually lost. You probably can't tell because I really didn't need to, I guess, but I felt like I need to. I think I have, like, body image issues. And I'm still not really satisfied, even though I can't go much further. But I've lost a lot of weight at this job, and I've started counting calories, so I did that plus working out every day for 8 hours essentially, and I went from, like, 150-ish when I first got hired to now I weigh 120, which is, like, the lowest I've ever weighed. And if I weigh less than this, then it starts to get into, like, underweight. So I can't, like, I could go lower, but I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't really need to. But once again, like I was saying earlier in the video, I do these solution things. Like, I'm like, I don't like my body. Maybe if I lose weight, then I'll be happy. Nope. No, not really. And I'm still kind of going crazy over it. And I still don't really like my body. Like, I kind of do, but kind of really don't. But that's whatever. So that's my point, is, like, these things don't fix anything. But yeah, so I make a lot more money. I keep running in circles and then going back to these things. Make a lot more money. First shift schedule, which is good. Um, stay active in my job, so I don't really like work out or anything. The job is workout enough. It's hard. It's hard on me too, and I got good benefits. So all those things are pretty good. But I hate working in a factory, and it's just not sustainable for me, and I can't do it forever. So I don't know if I should go into that now. It doesn't really matter. I'm thinking of going back to college, but online, while also working full time. And I've already applied, and what I think I'm gonna do is, I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's like Western Governors University. It's it offers fully online degrees, and you do them at your own pace, so you can do them very fast, theoretically. Um, I'm gonna try to get a bachelor's and then a master's in accounting in a year and a half to 2 years. That's my goal. Hopefully, I can stick to that and that works out. And I'm supposed to start December 1st. So, we'll see. I got the financial aid stuff figured out. I'm just waiting to hear back from the college. I got my transcripts all transferred. I'll be starting the bachelor's degree with 40% of the classes already done. It's just like the gen ed stuff because I went to the other college that I graduated from. I don't know if I ever said what that college is, so I'm just not going to now. But you could probably infer from my other videos or something. I don't know. I think I had like a coffee cup that was from the college I went to, but it's anonymous or die, baby. Alright, I gotta start wrapping this up somehow, and I didn't even get caught up to today. It's fine. Sorry that I talked so fast. I was really trying to fit all this stuff in, but yeah. Anyways, yeah, so I'm going to be trying to go back to college. But that's not really the thing I wanted to get into. Basically, since I broke up, or got broken up with, or what, I don't know. Since the breakup that I went through, I was very, very depressed and also suicidal. Basically all of 2024, from the breakup in June all the way through December, to the point where I started making these videos at first. Those last videos, I was very, very depressed. Still, like I said, still figuring it out, still probably am, but today I feel good. I was also just like throughout my whole childhood, I guess, from I think around like high school, I got really, really depressed and then just kind of hung there for a while. I would have periods where I was very happy every once in a while. It just kind of happened randomly. But for the most part, it was just this deep, deep depression. And it was just getting worse and worse and worse. And like I said, there would be these random moments where I was really happy, and really energetic and just like a completely different person, but it wasn't predictable and it wasn't like a good thing either. So I went all the way from high school to that, to up until like 2021, and had like a very, very large, I don't know what to call it. I mean, I do know what to call it, but without being explicit, a mental breakdown. I hit that happy pocket again, but it lasted the whole summer from like May until August. And I did a lot of crazy things. And I want to make a video on that at some point. Definitely. That was one of my original ideas. Was to finally talk about that somewhere, but I've kind of figured it out now. But anyways, really happy, not sleeping, not eating, I'm not naturally a confident person at all, and I have a lot of anxiety, but at this point I was so confident. Um, just a completely different person. And I guess the easiest way to explain this in a little term, but it won't really make sense, is I threw away my whole life that summer and literally was trying to get rid of all my stuff and was actually getting rid of all my money. Whatever money I had, I would just like throw it away essentially, or give it to other people in some way. So I really was trying to like throw away my whole life to dedicate the time that I did have, which was 24 hours a day because I wasn't sleeping, to picking up trash outside in random spots and just trying to make the earth cleaner, I guess, and restore. I don't know. It's hard to explain, but I thought I was going to save the world and start a revolution picking up trash. What brought me out of that eventually was reconnecting with an old friend from the pizza place I worked at, because I also quit that job kind of spontaneously, but I had some valid reasons for it. So I don't know if that was the crazy or not, but it probably was. Um, but I had a friend at that pizza place that I don't know, just it was a good friendship. I never hung out with them outside of work because I was really scared of like what might happen. And yeah, I don't know. But we reconnected and then started dating, and that was who my ex is. She saw me at a crosswalk. Also, I was really obsessed with the Joker at the time this summer of 2021. I had cut my face. I cut like a smile into my face. I also eventually cut a word into my arm and a lot of other bad stuff. Um, and blew up a lot of relationships that I had at the time, like friendships and family. Um, yeah, it was a big mess. But like I said, I just had like a really good connection with this person, this friend, and she saw me at a street crosswalk, just waiting and talking to someone that we both knew, but that doesn't matter. And I had recently cut my face and got like a large reaction of like, "What are you doing?" from everyone that knew and found out about that. They're like, "You just can't do that." So I was like, "Okay." I probably fought back and was like, "Yeah, I can do that," but and I do this a lot still, where I'm like, I'll fight whatever you're criticizing me about," and then end up still stopping or correcting, even though I say I won't. So I stopped cutting my face and opted into wearing lipstick instead. So I had this like Joker smile lipstick, dressed completely crazy, all these different patterns and colors and everything. I would also, that summer, I would cut a hole wherever I thought my heart was. I don't know if your heart is here, but that's where I thought it was at the time. I would cut a hole there and then tie a bandana through, and I called it a bleeding heart. I had a lot of weird ideas about things. So I just looked completely different from what she had ever seen. But anyways, we reconnected there kinda, and this time with all the confidence I had in the world, I was like, okay. Um, I wasn't trying to pursue anything, but I was like, I'm ready to hang out with you and become closer friends. Because I had always kind of shot down whatever. She would always ask to hang out, and I always shot it down. Or she started working at that thrift store that I worked at eventually, and she was telling me like, come visit the store, like she told me that multiple times, and I just never went. So for a while, our relationship kind of was just like a stagnant, close friends, but it was not going anywhere. We could have been closer. And then this summer, I was like, okay, I'm ready for anything. I'm ready for whatever adventure this world takes me on. So she was like, just come visit the store sometime. So I visited the store, and then I visited the store a lot, and we talked for a long time. And then we ended up getting into a relationship, and it was awesome until it wasn't. Right. I had never been in a relationship before. And she became my best friend, and is also still at this point the person who knows me best, although we don't talk anymore, for obvious reasons. But she's the only person that I felt like kind of listened to me, right? And I could be myself. I don't know. I was comfortable. I was very comfortable with her. So that's what brought me out of this giant moment I had in summer 2021, was getting into that relationship. We dated for like 4 months, and then we were still dating, but it became like Christmas break because we were both in college, and we spent a lot of time together. But up to this point, the first 4 months, I was still staying at my place. She was staying at her place. December hit, December 2021, and I went over one day, and she was like, I don't want you to go home. And we ended up, I stayed, and then I stayed, and I stayed, and I stayed, and I stayed. And at first we called it like the sleepover that never ended, you know. But what really happened is I just moved in. And so we lived together from that point on until things didn't work out and I had to get my own place, which is where I am now. But that's what brought me out of that. I don't even know what I was talking about and how I got onto this. But anyways, yeah, I had, oh, okay, deep depression throughout my whole life, plus these random moments of like great euphoria and just happiness and acting crazy. And I also have a family history of bipolar. My mom and dad both are diagnosed with it. So after that 2021 thing, I really wanted to get into therapy and get a psychiatrist and get diagnosed and see if I have bipolar. Right. But for many different reasons, throughout that whole relationship with my ex, I didn't and couldn't. Mostly financial, mostly because I didn't have benefits from my job. And we were broke all the time. So it just, to me, wasn't realistic. So I didn't prioritize it that well. But when I got the job that I have now, I have good benefits and I make enough money to make extra. And like I said, I was really depressed. Still probably am. Still definitely am. And still am not happy with life. Because nothing, things have changed, but this has not changed. My brain has not changed. So August, I was just getting really bad, kind of. I got the new job, I was graduating. That made me really happy. Brought me into like a really happy moment. And then I also had this really weird day at the factory where I had to work in rendering, and it was like the grossest, most weird, awful day of my life. But it was a good day. It was like I had a really bad experience, but I loved it. And it did something in my brain, and I don't know if there was something in the air, because there probably was. It was just terrible. That's probably something I should talk about too in a video, because that's a whole like little mini story. Animal rendering is so bad. But I worked in animal rendering this day, and then after that, went into one of those. Uh, I don't want to say it yet, but I'm getting there, and I gotta wrap this up also. But I jumped into one of those excited, happy, confident times with my job. But instead of blowing up my life this time, it aligned more with fixing a lot of things. So I quit smoking, not weed, but like the shitty Delta 8 stuff. I quit that, got my act together with like the schedule, with like a good sleep schedule, which should have, I don't know. I was sleeping. It wasn't as bad, I guess, but it was really bad still. Started doing chores around my house, which I'd still keep up. If you can see on my fridge, that square thing right there. I have a little chore board, and I do chores like every week, and I keep my apartment pretty clean. But the big thing was I got like really confident, and I got a lot of extra energy and was really euphoric for like 2 months. It was like a 2-month period this time. It wasn't the whole summer. And it was mostly at my job. And I felt like Superman. I was like, I can do this. And when it gets to these extreme moments like this, I feel like I could do it for like a millennia. Whatever it is. I remember in 2021 saying like, give me a stick and an empty room in a million years and I will never get bored. Just absurd things like that. That's how I feel. That's how it is. It's so like, I don't know. It's such a strong feeling. And that lasted about up until close to my birthday, which is in August. And around the same time, I also got injured from the job because I was just doing too much. And I was actively doing more and more and more. And what I mean is like not just doing the job, but doing extra things on top of it physically. And I just had this like, I felt like I had this unbounding energy, which I felt strongly in 2021 as well, and other times in my life. It's not like a new feeling to me. And then I got injured. I like pulled a muscle or something, I don't know. And that kind of shook me out of it. And then I fell into like a really, really, really deep suicidal depression. That was like the worst of the worst. Because I'll say this, last year, one of the topics I was going to make for my videos, I have the list right here, was therapy and why I don't want to go. And the reason I felt that way last year was because I was like, if I go to therapy and if I'm honest about how I feel right now, then it's going to hinder my plans to end my life. Because last year, what I felt like around this time, or not exactly this time, but getting close to it, because there was some other stuff going on. I was actually happy a year ago because I was talking to someone on Hinge, I think, or some dating app, and we were kind of getting close and talking a lot, but she lived far away, so we never like met in person. But that ended abruptly in a terrible way for me. So I got really depressed again and suicidal, and I was like, I just don't want to do this anymore. Which is fair, I think, but that's a topic for another video too. My plan was to one of two things, whichever worked. I was gonna save up as much money as I could and move very far away if I could make that happen. And if I couldn't make that happen, I was gonna go on the best trip of my life, but also get, I don't know if you're allowed to be this explicit on YouTube, but we'll see. I hope the video doesn't get flagged and down. But I was gonna buy a shotgun. I guess I'll say that. And I wanted to die somewhere warm. I still do. I don't want to die somewhere cold. I don't know what that is. So I was gonna make the best. I was gonna use whatever money I saved up, have the best trip of my life, vacation thing, and that would be my send off from this world. And I felt like last year, if I went to therapy and talked about that, I would be flagged and probably not be able to make this plan work as easily. Which is a terrible thing to say and a terrible way to feel. Like protective of suicidal feelings. But that's how I was last year. Anyways, got the new job, had the big, large euphoria moment, felt like Superman for like 2 months. Then I got injured. Then it was my birthday, and I fell into an even deeper depression and suicidal feelings. And it was like I don't even care about any of it anymore. I just went out. I'm still kind of dealing with that, but this today has been okay. There's good days and there's bad days. But anyways, I ended up calling. I'm sorry if I'm not talking loud enough, but whatever. Or I didn't call, but I ended up one day after work. I was just like, I can't do this, and I gotta figure out something. I'm either giving up, or it's one last ditch effort, actually focusing on prioritizing my mental health for once. So I got in contact with the suicide line, the like 988 line, and I just did the chat, like the typing chat, because that's what I was comfortable with. And I chatted with someone for like, I don't know, an hour and a half. That's crazy, because like therapy sessions are an hour, and you gotta pay money for that. But the 988 stuff, you can just talk to them for free. And I talked to that person for an hour and a half. And they gave me all these resources. And also my benefits, another thing. My birthday's like later August. It's like kind of halfway through August. A little bit after that. So it was getting close to, or actually it was already September. September was when I hit my whatever full, past the 60-day mark, I think. And that's when my benefits started at my new job. So after my birthday, I felt really suicidal, like I said, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And then it got to like the first week of September. Chatted with this person, but my benefits are eligible now. And they gave me a bunch of resources to find therapy, and so I could figure this out a little bit better and have a plan going forward. And so I called the first one on the list that day, and I got a therapist set up and a psychiatrist. And since then, I have weekly therapy on Fridays. That's why Fridays are good. I think I said that in the beginning of the video. And then kind of sporadically, like every 3 weeks to a month or whatever, I have a psychiatry appointment. I actually have one tomorrow, and the last one I had was 2 weeks ago because I was in a bad spot. And we're trying to figure out something that works for me. But anyways, to wrap this whole thing up, I finally got it figured out, and I got diagnosed with bipolar. I think bipolar 1, but I don't know. It's you know. So yeah, the thing in 2021 and the thing in that happened for the 2 months in my job, and any other moment like that, I was just manic episodes. That's what it was. Yeah. So that's a big thing that I got, a big update. Because if we've forgotten up to this point, this was supposed to be a little update video. So yeah, I could have just said those 3 things in like 5 minutes and then skipped to what I wanted to talk about. But there's so much to talk about with it. And like I said, I wanted this channel to be like I'm having a conversation. So I want it to be conversational. Yeah. So I got diagnosed with bipolar, figuring out what medications work for me. And the ones I'm on right now kind of work, I think. I don't know. But I also had like a little manic burst right after taking it. It only lasted 2 hours. But it was instantly recognizable to me as that. So I don't know. I'll figure out tomorrow what the plan is going forward with this. But yeah. That's what's been going on with me since my last video in fucking January. Terrible depression. Got diagnosed with bipolar. Another little thing that didn't really matter, but it was mentioned in my previous videos. I got my car fixed. The wheel assembly needed to be replaced. That's what it was. So, my car is better now. Although I need to take it in because the check engine light is on. But whatever. I hope nothing happens to it. The glare is back. But yeah, got a new job, graduated from college, going back to college in December, but at a different online thing. So I can do that as quick as possible, get accounting, bachelor's and master's, and then get a CPA, and get the hell out of the factory world, because it's terrible. Got diagnosed with bipolar, mostly just dealing with suicidal depression, but also random mania. And I refurnished my house, kind of. I got a bookcase or 2 yesterday. I don't know if I actually talked about that. That was completely new, and I did it. It was kind of spontaneous, but I did that yesterday. I freed up this table, so I could have like a little coffee table, because I wanted my apartment. I don't have friends, right? But if someone did come over, I want, that's a good view. I want it to look inviting-ish. And I also wanted to display all these books I have. So I got my bookcases that I built yesterday. One's like a tall one, and one's like a small one. And I got that's like mostly childhood books, like Percy Jackson and shit like that. And then that's like my Stephen King stuff. That's like comic books and video game stuff. And then that's like, I don't know. Oh, Lord of the Rings. And then I'm starting Discworld, if you've heard of that. I've read the first 2 books, and then I have the next 2, but right now I'm reading this. It's backwards, but it's Pale Blue Dot by Carl Sagan. It's really funny and inspirational and interesting. I also have this that I'm reading too. My phone just said basically that the video's too long because it just stopped it on its own. But anyways, this is what I'm talking about. Bipolar Disorder Survival Guide. I got that recently. It's interesting. I'm just trying to learn more about it. I guess, yeah, whatever. And then this is the cat book I was talking about. Total Cat Mojo. From Jackson Galaxy. And yeah, so that's it. I really like my bookshelf. I like my apartment. And that's the update for me. Like I was saying at the beginning of the video, I want to get back into making these. Because I kind of consider it like a second form of therapy. It's like journaling, and which I do, but I'm not super structured in doing that often. Maybe I'm gonna start doing that weekly also. I don't know. I'm definitely overloading myself with all these things I'm trying to do. But anyways, I'm gonna try to keep up with this channel more. I also have another channel for that I do like guitar stuff. I might link it at some point. I have two channels under the same name. The first one was from 2021 when I was actively manic, and I don't really like the stuff on it, but I don't have access to that anymore, so I can't take it down. And then the second one I made this year when I was really, really depressed in like September and October. I think I've made videos, guitar stuff, and I've written a few songs, and they're not good probably, but they're honest. That's the thing, is they're just like brutally honest about how I feel about things. Mostly to do with my ex, but whatever. But yeah, I want to get back to this channel. So sorry to anyone that watched this whole video. I know it's terrible. I know I probably talked way too fast and you probably couldn't hear anything I was saying. But I felt like I was having a conversation. I felt like I had a second therapy session, something to look forward to this week. Which this was kind of spontaneous. I just thought about this at work today. And wanted to do it. It's getting late. And I want to read, like I said. But anyways, yeah, that's it. That's the updates for now. I'll go over them again one more time. New job. Graduated from college. Going back to college. Got diagnosed with bipolar. Figuring out medication. Suicidal depression. Manic moments. Reading a lot. Cats. 2 of them. And I want to keep uploading on this channel. So I think what I'm going to do is a new video every Monday. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know what the next one's going to be about. I don't even know if I'll make one. It might be another 10 months before I make another video. I hope not. But yeah. Oh, and another thing I didn't go over, and I'll probably go over it at a different point, but because it would have taken a lot of time to get into. But I recently, like last month, went no contact with my family. And I also, any friends that I referred to having in my last videos, I don't have anymore. So it's literally, I am just completely alone, have no one to talk to. I am on dating apps, but that's not working out for me. And why should it? But that's my solution, to try and find someone to talk to. Outside of my therapist and you guys. So, yeah, completely alone. And more alone than ever in my life. at this point. But anyways, I'm gonna end the video here. I'm gonna try to splice all these videos together. I don't know if that's gonna work, but hopefully it will. If not, I'm gonna upload it in 3 parts, and that's gonna be funny. We'll see how YouTube and iMovie allows me to do the videos merging. But I'm gonna end it here. If you watched this whole video, holy fucking shit, you're committed. Thank you. That's awesome. You are a cool person, probably cooler than me, and you probably would make a better YouTube channel than I do. So, I don't know, consider it. But thank you. I appreciate you. And I mean, anyone that watched even 1 second of this, thank you. I appreciate you. And let's see if we'll see you next week. That's what I'm gonna end it on. Let's see if we'll see you next week. All right. Bye.